To have your company. Cassie DePicol was working 70 hours a week as a babysitter when she came up with this sort of wild idea, really. She wanted to travel to every country in the world, and she wanted to do it faster than ever before. Now she's a Guinness World Record holder, an Instagram superstar, and arguably the world's most travelled woman after visiting 196 countries in less than 2 years. And she joins us now live out of New York. Cassie, welcome to the program. Great to have you on. Why did you decide to do this?
Thanks for having me. I don't know, ever since high school, I really wanted to travel to every country in the world, and it wasn't until like 6 months before my 25th birthday that I realized that I could actually do it. I just had to put the work into it and commit to it, but I also wanted to change the world somehow. We all want to change the world, so the goal was mine to promote positive peace through sustainable tourism and speak to university students along the way and travel to every country in the world.
So you had $10,000 in your back pocket. That wouldn't get you past the first, maybe the first two countries. How'd you afford this?
No. Yeah, so in that year and a half prior to starting the expedition, I saved up $10,000 from the babysitting jobs, and then I also had to obtain funding through sponsors and investors because I'm filming an educational documentary along the way as well to be used in high schools and universities. So I had to reach out to companies for sponsorship, and that was a constant struggle. At one point, I almost thought I had to quit because I ran out of funding, so I had to come back home and reach out to more companies. So it's been a constant challenge to try and find funding. Right,
and where's the best place, do you reckon? 190 odd countries. Where's the place that stands out for you? Was there a favourite? Something happened to you?
Well, there's a few, but I do love New Zealand because I'm a big nature girl, so I love the South Island of New Zealand. But Pakistan was really beautiful too. The culture of the people, the food, everything was really amazing over there as well.
What actually constitutes for this record as well as having visited a country? I mean, do you have to get through immigration? Do you have to leave the airport and then turn around and leg it straight out of town? What's a visit?
Yeah. So for the Guinness World Record, you have to get a passport stamp. That's pretty much it. So I try to visit at least spend a day or 2 days in each country, or do one important thing in that country to kind of quantify going to that country. So there may be only 5 where I wasn't able to I just went to the airport, got the stamp, and left, and that was either because I had to get to a student meeting or ran out of funding. So yeah, but that's what I try to do, at least 1 or 2 things in each country. But
were there any countries where you just arrived at the airport, got the stamp, turned around and buggered off?
Yeah, a couple countries in Africa, actually, just for the danger factor, and also I had to get to a student meeting. The student meetings are priority for me, so if I had a meeting in like Zimbabwe, then I had to make sure to get to that meeting in time, and that required going pretty quickly through the other countries.
Okay, worst place on earth you went to? What was it?
Oh, I don't like that question. Yeah, I might avoid that one just because I'm trying to promote peace through tourism, and each country I had my own experience. There were only maybe a couple that I had not the best experience, but I don't really want to highlight those countries. So I'm trying to promote the positive.
As a woman travelling alone, were there any times where you felt scared or threatened or nervous for your safety?
Yeah, a couple countries, again, in Africa. Africa is such a huge continent, and they're experiencing so much poverty, and it's really tough over there. It was really challenging for me. And there were a couple of instances where, a man would walk in my room at night and into my hotel room. I have no idea how he got in, and it just kind of worried me. But thankfully, I'm pretty proficient in Krav Maga, so that kind of gives me the extra vote of confidence to be able to travel the world like I do.
You're getting a lot of stamps from some very dodgy countries. Did that ever cause any issues when you were trying to get back into the States, let's say, which has a strict immigration policy?
I have global entry, so whenever I come back into the States, I just swipe my passport, and they don't question, I skip the lines, they don't question me or anything. I mean, they don't really even look at my passport. So coming back this time, I had Syria in there, I had Yemen, I had North Korea. Well, North Korea doesn't stamp your passport, but I had all these stamps, and it was right after that whole travel ban situation. But so they didn't see it, and they didn't ask. I was kind of hoping they would, but since I have global entry, they don't really check that too much.
Hey, what was your strangest country? We won't go to the worst country, go to the strangest country, one that sort of has left this impression in you. I don't really think I'll go back there.
So the strangest country, that's an interesting question. I would say Bhutan is really interesting. They had a few things that were a little bit quirky that's not really, I can't really mention on TV, but when you go there, there's a few things that are like, interesting. And it's just kind of their way of promoting peace and a good life and just these certain things and that they eat and that they do that was really different but very cool and interesting at the same time, Bhutan. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, good on you, Cassie. Appreciate your time on the program.